Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. We're back here with some more Titanfall commentary. I wanted to discuss a very important set of topics for Titanfall, a lot having to do with recent reviews that were tossed out for the game and recent opinions, things that people have been stating, mostly people who haven't played the game and somewhat people who have been playing the game. And a lot of that is aimed at the negativity towards the game because of a lack of character customization or Titan customization, as well as a lack of actual unlocks and, progression system. Oh god, I hate that. I hate the term in multiplayer shooters these days. Progression, a progression system. What's the progression system like, man? What do I unlock for playing the game? Because the core gameplay shouldn't be at the forefront of a first-person shooter experience. I mean, am I right? It should just be about unlocking helmets and useless cosmetic items. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy those items. I like when I can actually customize my character, and I would like to be able to customize my pilot and my Titan inside of Titanfall. But should this game be marked down for a lack of those implementations? Most definitely not. If anything, Titanfall breaks the progression-based multiplayer experience mold. Okay, Call of Duty and Battlefield, even Halo, ended up going this direction in the last couple of years, where the game is based around a character progression system, a leveling system, where you unlock items for your weapons, as well as cosmetic items for your character. Now, Titanfall does have a progression system. You do level up, you unlock weapons, and you unlock different pieces of equipment that you can apply to your loadout, and that's about as far as it goes. The same thing goes for the Titan. There is no cosmetic items, there's no weapon camos, there's no things of that nature, and it does exist inside of the game. Now, if the game didn't have this system, similar to what Killzone Shadowfall did, would anyone actually care? People would complain. I know they would. It would be a fact that they would complain. But I personally, from what I've experienced in my now 30 hours of Titanfall, wouldn't care if everything was just there from the get-go. You want to know why? What Titanfall does is it goes back in time to the days of Halo 2 and Counter-Strike and first-person shooters that didn't need all these fancy fluff and frills everywhere to make us happy, and it remembers what should be at the forefront of a multiplayer first-person shooter experience. Gameplay. Yes, that's right. Do you remember gameplay? It's like an old friend. It shows up and you experience it and you're just like, why am I playing this game again? Oh yeah, that's right, that last match was really damn fun. I want to do that again. Maybe this time better. Maybe this time with a different weapon. Let's try that. There's no longer that grind, that sense of progression that is required these days, it seems, in most first-person shooters like Call of Duty and Battlefield. Yes, I'm going to make the comparison. I know they're very different games, but the fact is, when I sit down and play Call of Duty and Battlefield these days, about 70% of my enjoyment comes from just unlocking weapons, attachments, and camouflages for those weapons inside of the game. Inside of Titanfall, I would say a mere 10% of my enjoyment came from actual unlocks. And the only reason I really enjoyed unlocking weapons was because I wanted to learn how to use something new. It wasn't because I needed something new. The fact is, I still haven't mastered most of the stuff that I have unlocked now while I'm at level 50 in the game. I just, it was like, cool, I'll have something else eventually. But the fact is, I still need to learn how to use this damn plasma railgun that I unlocked back at level 30. There's so much variety within the weapon systems inside of Titanfall, whether it be on the pilot side of things or on the Titan side of things, that there is actually an individual learning curve for each of the weapons. A lot of people right now are just using the 40mm cannon. Why? Because that's what they're comfortable with. They use it in the beta, it's familiar, they already have gotten the flow for it. Shove a plasma railgun in their hand, they're like, this is not familiar, I don't want to use this. And that's what makes Titanfall's gameplay experience that much better. There's so much variety amongst these weapons, and there's actually, you have to learn how to use each individual weapon to use it efficiently. So at the moment, a lot of people, again, are just like using what they're comfortable with. And, I enjoy everything. It's why I started making those builds videos, because I've been messing around so much, I've been actually forcing myself to jump back and forth and test out the different weapons, use the different Titan loadouts, and try and figure out how to use each of these things to their max effective level. Rather than just sticking with what I'm comfortable with. And right there, the fact that after 30 hours I'm still being challenged by the game and each of its systems and how to use them efficiently is prime example of where the focus of Titanfall went. It didn't go into making this grind system where it was like, okay, well, the player hits 50, let's start letting him unlock, like crazy camos for his weapons now and Titan stuff, because without that sense of progression, the game's going to die out. And that is one of the biggest questions that games journalism, people in general ask a first-person shooter now when it comes out and they realize it doesn't have a customization system at all. It's like, oh, can it succeed in a world where the progression system now exists inside of a multiplayer shooter? And I think Titanfall was one of those games that could have done it. Killzone tried to, and to be honest, I never really had any faith that Killzone would do it, because the first-person shooter experience that Killzone offers isn't really anything new. It's not special, and to be honest, it's not really that well balanced. It's not really that well done. But at the end of the day, if Titanfall came out and they said they weren't going to have any sort of an unlock system, yes, people would have been pissed, but it wouldn't have changed the fact that at its core, Titanfall has a really great gameplay experience. It's a great first-person shooter to play. The satisfaction comes from each individual match, not from what happens after the match is over and you unlocked your goodies, but what is actually going on during those matches. It harkens back to the days of Halo 2 for me. It really does, because Halo 2 was the last time that I played a first-person shooter on console anyways, where things felt really special, where it didn't matter that I didn't have things to unlock. I was just playing the game because I enjoyed playing it. I enjoyed testing my skill, testing my personal mettle against other players online, or even in a friendly local, LAN environment. And that's what Titanfall reminds me of. It's why I'm completely just hooked on the game. It's an addictive experience, not because of unlocks, right? That's one thing people say, even people who have sort of knocked the game down a couple notches because of a lack of things like private matches, and they didn't like the multiplayer campaign, have still come away saying it's an addictive experience. Why is it an addictive experience? Because the core gameplay elements are absolutely mind-blowingly, wonderfully, fantastically amazing. Did I fit any more? I don't think I could fit any more words in there to describe just how much fun Titanfall is to just play. And of course it gets better when you add friends, just like any good multiplayer experience. Now, the naysayers still exist. There's an endless amount of people. I'm not talking about the people who just say, oh, I don't think I'd want to pick it up, it's not really my cup of tea. I'm talking about the people who continuously go everywhere that I possibly can point my eyes. I know I shouldn't look at comments on videos, but I do anyways, and they tell me that the game is Call of Duty with mechs and they were bored after 2 hours, and I just know they haven't actually experienced it. I don't know what happened. There used to be a time when people gave their opinion on a game and people either disagreed with it and went on their way, or they agreed with it and that was the end of it. Now it seems if the community universally agrees that the game is good and that it does well, everyone wants it to do worse. The game actually scored really well across pretty much just every review platform, varying from anything from a 7.5 up to a 10 out of 10. Those are really good scores, and yet there's people who want it to do worse. And if the game would have bombed terribly, I can guarantee you that the majority of the internet would have been pissed and said that the game deserved to be perfect. 9 out of 9, 10 out of 10. But that's my honest opinion on Titanfall, guys. It's why I love it, it's why I think the experience is so special, and it's why I won't be marking down Titanfall at any point in its life cycle for not having character or pilot customization options. That's gonna do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on what everyone has been saying about Titanfall and what I have said about Titanfall in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.